Have you ever heard of Nestlé? In the 1970s, Nestlé's entire premise was admirable and somewhat philanthropic. It had the intention of providing a breath of fresh air for infants of whose mums were unable to breastfeed them, and it appears that it did. In order to grow, they needed to find a means to reach a larger audience, and in order to accomplish so, they had to contend with their main rival, breast milk. And so, the moral downward spiral started, making their hands increasingly filthy. Do you know why? If not, then stay tuned because we'll explain all the details in this video. Before we dive deeper into why Nestlé is so evil, please smash that like button and subscribe to Proactive Investing to stay up to date about investing and economics. Nestlé has consistently ranked first when people talk about unethical and dishonest businesses around the globe. Nestlé is one of the largest firms in the world and sells hundreds of items globally. Nestlé employs over 339,000 people in its 447 operations in 189 nations. But why is the business with such a big market and influence referred to as evil and unethical? Before we get into the evil side of Nestlé, we need to dive into the history of Nestlé first. After that, we'll cover Nestlé's infant formula, packaged water, exploitation of children, factory waste polluting the environment, and the works with dictators. Henry Nestle created Nestlé in 1867 and the company got its start there. Henry intended to launch his own brand of milk-based infant formula for babies who were unable to obtain breast milk owing to a number of reasons. In 1905, Henry's company named Nestlé merged with Anglo-Swiss to form what we know today as the Nestlé Group. Nestlé managed to adapt and increase their sales at a number of factories during the period of war and crisis. Nestlé's infant formula. Around 2,000 brands are under Nestlé's ownership globally, with its infant formula being the most well-known. The company's goods, however, have a terrible track record. In an effort to influence customers, the corporation grew its baby formula business in the 1970s and started marketing its formula as being superior to breast milk. They did this by spreading the myth that their formula is healthy for infants and offers all the nutrients that breast milk cannot. Even medical professionals were brought off to testify in their favor. No one can argue that this is unethical in every way. The advertising campaigns urge mums to switch from breastfeeding to formula feeding. The appalling thing Nestlé did was engage saleswomen in undeveloped areas of Asia and Africa, then send them to advertise mothers on health matters and give them free samples of the infant formula. Because the women were dressed as nurses, mothers in developing nations with limited education trusted them. In order to last just until mums were completely dependent on the formula and quit nursing themselves, the free samples were weighed and packaged in a thoughtful manner. Thousands of newborn deaths resulted from the company's terrible PR gimmick as mums switched from Nestlé's infant formula to breast milk. The youngsters were consequently lacking in the essential elements that breast milk supplies. In order to save money, women in less developed parts of the world diluted infant formula with extra water, starving their children unintentionally in the process. All the components necessary for the baby's immune system and physical development are present in breast milk. Babies from impoverished areas without access to clean water suffered from numerous ailments and perished because of a lack of natural milk. The media even gave the formula the nickname Baby Killer as a result of thousands of deaths it resulted in. An international code of marketing for breast milk substitutes was adopted by the World Health Organization in 1981 as a result of the demonstrations, increasing situations, and irate public uproar. However, it was unfortunately too late. In an effort to clear its name, the company began mentioning on its market that breast milk cannot be substituted. Wait a minute, are you part of the 99% of viewers who aren't subscribed to Proactive Investing? Well, if so, now's your time to join us and subscribe. Trust us, you won't regret subscribing to Proactive Investing. Thank you. Now, let's dive deeper into the topic at hand. Is Nestlé really that bad? Nestlé's packaged water. One of the top manufacturers of bottled water bottles is Nestlé. The bottles contain a lot of single-use plastic which pollutes the ecosystem and obliterates millions of marine life. According to numerous reports, the majority of the plastic bottles seized during the beach cleanups are Nestlé's brand, demonstrating that Nestlé is one of the leading causes of water and land contamination. And it's not only the plastic bottles that are bad for the environment, the water in the bottles is just as bad, if not worse. No matter how elegantly Nestlé's packaged bottles are decorated with images of lakes, mountains, and springs, the majority of the water within comes from the ground. When the public needs groundwater the most, Nestlé is accused of stealing it and selling it for profit. It's obviously immoral and harmful to the environment. The business is also accused of obtaining clean water sources from nations where people are compelled to drink contaminated water in order to supply Nestlé's bottling facilities. ample, clean water was being diverted from Pakistani residents in 2013 so that the corporation could use it for factories, leaving the population with no choice but to drink sewage and sludge water. Not only in Pakistan, but also in a number of undeveloped nations with an abundance of natural resources that Nestlé can exploit due to tax laws. Nestlé exploiting children. Nestlé offers a variety of chocolate products that use cocoa that was grown using child labor that was both coerced and trafficked. The business was charged with utilizing child labor to produce the cocoa for its chocolates in 2000, along with a number of other chocolate manufacturers. By 2005, Nestlé promised to solve this issue and produce problems that adhere to moral standards. However, it hasn't made much progress on the problem. According to the corporation, youngsters who work on their parents' farms account for the majority of the unpaid child labor used in the manufacture of chocolate. Because the farmers need as many hands as they can get their work on in order to afford food, shelter, and other needs while they're unable to pay for school, the logic is flawed. Because Nestlé is the one that pays them, so Nestlé ought to assist the farmers who work for them. They should help them and increase the payment they make to the farmers. By putting fair trade markings on its labels to highlight the fact that chocolate bars are created with ethically sourced cocoa, they tried to restore their reputation, but it didn't address the main issue, which was illegal child labor. They still have farms and factories that use forced child labor, but they haven't done much about it and don't offer any evidence that the things they sell were manufactured responsibly. Nestlé's factory waste polluting the environment. As was already mentioned, the company's plastic water bottles are the main cause of pollution in both water and the environment. The primary cause of littering and water contamination is single-use plastic. The business asserts that it will switch to recyclable plastic bottles for all of its single-use plastic bottles, but there hasn't been any development in that area just yet. The waste produced by the company's factories also harms the ecosystem and marine life, in addition to the harm done by plastic bottles. A Nestlé milk powder facility in France spilled its biological waste into the nearby waterways in 2020, which resulted in the death of about 3 tons of fish. Furthermore, the corporation has only grown in its proportion of reusable, recyclable plastic by 1% despite making numerous enormous pledges and claims about reducing plastic waste and use. Nestlé bottled water has harmed the environment in other ways as well. After so much controversy, the company has largely abandoned its North American water bottling endeavors and is now concentrating on its international operations. This includes such as those in China and Brazil, where the public is forced to rely on bottled water due to the water scarcity caused by the pollution and Nestlé sapping up what's left. They still have terrible systems they created, but it's not their problem anymore. Nestlé works with dictators. Even the most terrible corporate might not go as far as to openly collaborate and backing tyrants, but in 2009, it came to light that Nestlé was purchasing a staggering 15% of its milk from a farm run by Robert Mugabe's wife. He is the then president of Zimbabwe and notoriously a bad dude. In reality, the farm had been unlawfully taken over by the Mugabe government as Zimbabwe's economy crumbled and Mugabe's purchased their 34th castle. But hey, the people need their Nesquik. The multi-billion-dollar company Nestlé completely controls its market. Despite engaging in a number of immoral and unlawful practices, they've been able to get away with it because of their size, power, and influence in influencing laws. The firm has a strong marketing strategy and the power to easily sway its target audience through advertising that makes the audacious claims and promises, but the reality is much worse than ever imagined. The business has earned the moniker the most evil company of all time because of all of this. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Proactive Investing now, like the video if you've enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.